back to Silicon Sounds, audio for the rest of us. Today I have the incredible opportunity and pleasure to review the Oriolus Szalayi. Please excuse me for my pronunciation. I titled this review as Eminent Musicality with Bass Icing. A little bit of background information. Oriolus is a Japanese-based company who manufactures a number of different audio-related products, including a line of in-ear monitors. The Szalayi is the second least expensive of their line, coming in at $890 USD. Again, based in Japan, the product team manufactures IEMs which start at approximately, I'd say 800 or so US, all the way up to 10,600 USD for the Trailii or Trailii, which is another one. Please excuse my pronunciation. So the Szalayi is a three-way hybrid driver complement, which includes a single balanced armature, a 14mm planar, and a single 10mm dynamic driver per side. Masterfully done, by the way. All of these housed in a beautiful resin shell. These are three very different driver technologies, but what the Oriolus team has managed to accomplish, and in magnificent fashion, is all seamlessly blending these technologies together into an eminently cohesive and superbly satisfying sound experience. I'm trying not to sound too overtly bubbly about this, but this is a wonderful IEM. With respect to tuning, the Szalayi offers a bass-leaning sound. Some would call it basshead, but I don't feel comfortable in calling it that, as the musicality of it is just incredible, with exceptional mid-range and treble clarity. Bassheads may appreciate and will probably appreciate what this IEM brings to the table, but again, I'm uncomfortable calling the Szalayi basshead simply because that would be putting the sound signature expectations of this fantastic IEM in a mental box, as it were. The Szalayi is so much more than that term gives it credit for. It is an IEM which blesses the ears with exceptional clarity of sound, while being able to produce all the bass that a track may require. The bass produced is not the in-your-face type, but that is definitely present. It serves to fill out the sound, and again, an eminently musical fashion. Specs, we have a 3D printed resin shell. We have one BA driver, manufacturer not disclosed, one 14mm planar diaphragm driver, a 10mm dynamic driver per side. Sensitivity, 110 decibels per milliwatt. Frequency response, 10 to 40 kilohertz. Take that as with a grain of salt. Whatever it is, what it is. Impedance is 10 ohms, not the typical 32. And it comes with a cable I'll talk about in a minute. So let's continue. Let's talk about the looks of it in terms of build and fit. It's a beautiful IEM. The only color I've seen is this blue, which is semi-translucent, adorned with a faceplate of the same color. You have branding on one faceplate, and you have the symbol on the other faceplate. It's embedded with sparkly material, the top plate, as we can see, for added bling. There also appears to be a vent on the faceplate. Let me just hold this closer. If you can see the vents right there by my thumb, there seems to be a vent on the faceplate. And the nozzle is fashioned directly as part of the resin production process, as a part to an added-on metal nozzle. The finish is flawless. Nothing to complain about. Could not complain about anything. I did only receive the IEM, so I can't talk too much about the retail presentation. But I will talk a little bit about the cable. The cable that it comes with is serviceable. It's a fabric wrapped cable. Mine came with a 4.4mm termination. Once again, I did not receive the full retail packaging, but I can tell you that this cable is a yawner. Nothing special about the cable at all. Not really a keeper, not something I'd go and grab if I have IEMs lying around. It's technically speaking, a very basic cable. That being said, I've had $3,000 USD IEMs in my ear where the cable um, was even worse. Here it comes in a simple, kind of mushy box, nothing special here. Let's get back to the IEMs because that's what it's all about, the sound. Bass. Bass is powerful, goes deep, sub bass deep, with a sub bass emphasis over the mid bass. While the Szalayi's low end could please the basshead masses, the level of control and musicality sets itself apart from the majority of earphones who would claim that basshead label. I would even label the bass as analog sounding or analog like in its presentation. The fact um, the fact is, it has clearly capable bass output. The low end does not impede the rest of the frequency range. This is incredible. You don't hear the bass overshadowing the mids or the highs or taking, I should say, front and center all the time. The low end has a notable meat and thickness to it, but not sacrificing clarity or texturing. When listening to Angel by Massive Attack, the driving bass line was delivered with great authority, but the texture was clearly heard. Listening to Inside Stuff by Wayman Tisdale, a very dynamic and sharp track, it really showcased the musicality of the low end. The bass guitar had excellent clarity and heft while not melding into the bass drum at all, each element being distinct with their own clear nuances laid bare. Even with this meaty delivery, the speed and articulation of the low end is still on another level. The bass of the Szalayi is quite accomplished with a level of musicality thrown in that makes listening to my audio library almost a new experience. When listening to these, something happened that hasn't happened in quite a while. I listened to whole albums. Something I don't do. I usually pick out certain tracks that I use for evaluation and critical listening. I ended up listening to whole albums. I ended up pulling tracks I haven't heard, which are not even part of my evaluation set, and giving them a listen. It was a new experience, or an experience I should say I haven't had in quite a long time, that it felt new. All too often, bass tuned headphones suffer sonically from a number of issues, including the bass throwing a veil over the rest of the sound, or the bass quantity at the expense of quality. The Szalayi does not, I repeat, does not suffer from any of these issues, and at least with respect to basshead IMs that I've heard, it's the best example of such. This is the best example of an IM that could be called basshead, and once again, I'm uncomfortable calling it so, as the bass does not impede the rest of the frequency range. Bass is not delivered in bass cannon style, but with all the power yet great poise as well. Very well done. Mid-range. The Oriolus Szalayi offers a balanced mid-range that sounds beautifully open with exceptional clarity. There's a good quantity of both macro and micro details here. Again, the micro details come through because the bass doesn't cloud the mid-range. Mid-range delivery is natural and organic, with both male and female vocals benefiting from this organic, almost analog type of delivery. The mid-range does have some warmth to it, which adds to its organic nature. Tracy Thorn's vocals on Protection by Massive Attack was more immediate than recessed, and vocals are more immediate than recessed. Lately, I've had a number of IEMs I've listened to where I have a slightly recessed mid-range. The Szalayi is not like that at all. It's not forward in your face, but it's definitely present in the mix, with all the nuances in clear display. Tenderhearted Lover by John Stoddart was relayed with the same treatment, great clarity and natural weight that was more than pleasing. Here I Come by Dennis Brown followed suit with the same clarity and a lushness that was heard on the other tracks. Even with all this clarity and precision, there's a lushness to the mid-range that just makes it sound alluring. The amount of note weight heard from the Szalayi brought a smile to my face. Note weight is one of the critical factors when it comes to timbre and realism, or being natural. But it was never at the expense of clarity or snap. Speed is another word. The space around the vocals and instruments in the mid-range is wonderful. This allows the mid-range to come alive definitely avoiding that wall of sound effect. Each musical instrument or element has its own space around it, but blending into a track, it was wonderful. All this combined with great timbre make for an organic presentation that really drags the listener into the music willingly, with ease, and is quite engaging. Transients were relayed with an unrestrained and natural quality to them that was very pleasing. Layering and separation is standout, effortless, engaging, and eminently satisfying. This is an IM that will spoil its owners and make it hard for other earphones to be pulled out of the IEM drawer and into the air. It's that good. Treble. Treble is fairly extended with the natural quantities of sparkle and air. I just had recently been listening to another IM which had what I thought was great treble. The Szalayi did not change my mind on that IM, but it shifted my expectations as to what quality treble is. This is another level. Once again, the brand of the BA driver is not disclosed. And in a number of very high-end products or higher-end products, at this price, I wouldn't call this exceptionally high-end, but the sound-wise, they almost never disclose who manufactures their drivers. But the sound speaks for itself. Treble has a pleasing energy, not being overdone by any means. Detail retrieval is very good as well. What really hit me though is how natural the treble region sounded. I was listening to an IM previously, and I thought that was the cat's meow. The treble was fantastic. And then I popped the Szalayi in my ears, and my whole expectations shifted upwards. It's hard to put into words really, but the treble hair has an organic nature about it that I've not heard in what seems like forever. Cymbals, goodness, cymbals were rendered with fantastic fidelity, as is the resonance of acoustic guitar at the higher notes, more so than I've heard in a very long time. The space around the treble is palpable, which in no small part enhances even more the open sounding nature of the sonics. I am very impressed with the treble the Szalayi produces. It's so natural and soothing, I really have nothing but praise to give it. Imaging and soundstage. Here we go again. The Szalayi offers a well-sized soundstage with pinpoint imaging. When listening to a well-recorded album such as Waves by Eden Atwood, I found myself listening to the whole album instead of just particular tracks I use for evaluation, as I've said before. The soundstage is all about musicality, and it will get the listener's attention. The Szalayi's ability to render space and placement is something that many more expensive IMs I have heard do well, but not this well. Depth, width, height are all present in, again, natural proportions. Musicality first. Fantastic. Conclusion. If I need to even create one, as you pretty much know how I feel about this. The Oriolus Szalayi is simply stated a fantastic IEM. It has completely realigned what a basshead capable IEM can sound like. Basshead capable, not bass in your face all the time. But when bass hits, it hits. The Szalayi sound like music and is all about being musical in doing so. This is not a reference-tuned IEM, but what exactly does that mean? But one of Oriolus's obviously capable tuners have designed for the pure enjoyment of music. It has quickly vaulted itself into my top tier of IEMs I've ever listened to and been privileged to listen to. This is no small feat, as I've listened to a good number of them, many much more expensive than the Szalayi. Let me put it this way. At $890 US full retail, I am seriously considering purchasing one and consider the Szalayi as a true audio bargain, even at that price. Emotional involvement in music is priceless, and the Oriolus Szalayi does this effortlessly. While Oriolus may not be a well-known brand, they deserve to be. I give the Szalayi my highest recommendation that I can, reserved only for the truly musical earphones, and rare indeed. 5 stars plus without question, S tier plus without question. If you are in the market for an IM in this price range, do yourself a favor and consider the Oriolus Szalayi. It's a true gem for music lovers. Presently, I've only seen it available in North America at Music Tech. Check it out. Don't sleep on this one, folks. This one is special. Thanks again for joining me for this review. Tell your friends about this place, a little gathering place for unbiased and direct audio reviews, one-off videos. I don't edit a lot. I just say what comes to my mind. And keep supporting Silicon Sounds, audio for the rest of us. See you soon on the next video.